Now they've got a comfort pick for aiming. The comp is very cohesive with these dive threats coming through. The matchup top lane is good for them. So I think they navigate things pretty okay, all things considered.
Yeah, I would actually say that as far as how it shook out in the end, it is actually kind of working. I think the lack of CC is going to be a difficulty here. I think you're like, as far as the top side is concerned, it's like put their money where their mouth is as we dive onto the rift for our Saturday Showdown Game 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Okay, now that we're deafened by the T1 roar, let us dive into game number 1, and I have got a very important thing to talk about first.
Oh.
Is that Neferi skin a pickle dog? Because he's green.
Just trying to invest in aiming later in the game. Seen so often as him being the Gold King.
Yep.
I'd say kind of look in the jungle with how things have panned out. The Prio from T1 really working hard to secure the Skull Crabs means Ona isn't really behind, but I think you really have to examine it from the lens of if that invade had been successful and he had the Prio in his lanes, Lucy would be out the game. Oh man.
Oren has just been obliterated by Xiu here. Gets the scrap shield, flash forward and lands the harpoon. There's a solo kill. And that is first blood. Man, I'm so used to it being Gwen doing that, but it's Xiu this time. Going to be landing a few of these daggers as well as Lucid, thinking that his prize is going to be this blue buff, and that is due to the fact that Showmaker has all of that priority in this mid lane, but bot side priority is also there for T1. So a little bit of an honest engage here as Carrier dives forward. They get on top of Lucid. He's lit on fire. Faker free hitting now with these Sand Soldiers, but it's Carrier that's the one in trouble. And with that Spirit Rush, Showmaker is able to take him down. Beryl now looking for Faker as Lucid in amongst it. Gumayushi the target, but Ona goes down first. And that's another kill, this time going over to aiming. It's a disaster for T1. That's even feats of warfare already completed for DK.
You need to keep focused in this game.
Yeah, I think you need to keep your foot on the pedal, 100%. That will give T1 some opportunities to answer back, right? Because DK needs to take risks. They need to do things. And Lucid going to start by taking down these grubs as they spawn. It's going to be the first feed of the objectives to come on through here for DK. They can upgrade their shoes relatively quickly, but they need to get another one of these if they do want to lock that one down. And Doran fighting against Xiu. Grand Starfall does come down. Let's see whether the Rumble will survive, and the answer is absolutely he will not. As Lucid just wanting to get that final grub, and he does manage to secure it. So T1 not able to deny the feat. They will be able to deny triple grubs from DK. So T1 on the board now with that kill under Xiu, certainly good news.
Yeah, great moves there from Ona. You know, you saw Xiu finding an angle to get a solo kill, which isn't that common that we see. Yeah. He can just kill someone. Beautiful. Oh, Carrier.
All right, Carrier could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Something they chase.
Yep, still going to be able to get out. As once again, Beryl with another Zenith Blade. Charm going to connect there as well, as Faker could be in a little bit of trouble. Orb of Deception comes down. I don't think Faker's dying here. And remember, he really wanted to go home. Yeah. And so it's really not going to do all that much. He will miss out on this wave, though, because the timing's not necessarily the greatest. Good Charm from Showmaker, just barely unable to connect.
Oh, some good trades. And again, Faker's going to recall, but he doesn't have TP. And with him off the map, and Showmaker having not committed ult in that play, DPLUS is very confident to pick up this dragon. Yep. Second objective of the game.
Deadly Flourish. A bit of an attempt there from Gumayushi. And I was going to say, oh, that's optimistic, but it's Gumayushi in order to make that one happen. As has T1 been able to get any of their blue buffs yet?
Well, they did get that one earlier. I believe it was Ona who smite secured.
Oh, he did.
But
okay.
They lost the fight as a result.
Oh, so he hasn't had blue buff for very long.
Yeah. Oh, Guma.
Okay. Solar Flare is going to miss the stun, but he's still dead. Lucid comes on over, grabs the kill. Beryl able to tank up the turret just well enough left on those plates. So able to get that extra money. Certainly going to be good. Lucid just flipped over the wall, so doesn't have that ability at this point in time. Avoids the Deadly Flourish, though, as he flashes over the wall. Ona goes in, but Beryl is right there already. The curtains are going to get called, as now Lucid still trying to escape. I don't know whether Beryl is going to be quite as lucky, though, as he realizes he has to stick around, and that will spell his death. So a little bit of an overextension, and this is something that they were talking about on the space. The fact that DK sometimes just try to take more than they have the right to take.
Yeah, and Beryl dies for the sins of Lucid.
It's going to be fine. And things have slowed down here a little bit. As I say that, they speed back up again. Beryl getting engaged on here. Good crash down as he's just looking to try and escape. And maybe this is why the flash was left off cooldown, as Lucid really wanted to secure his Raptors. He does do so. And T1, they just get a flash out of Leona. And we'll move over now towards this dragon. A lot of vision available here. Showmaker on that top side of the map with teleport in hand. Doran going back home now. And Lucid well aware of what's going on here, but I just don't know whether DK is going to have a way in. As I say that, Lucid just blast cones his way into the pit, and Owner is going to be able to stun him. The front flip gets him over, but that means that the dragon definitely goes into the hands of T1. Equalizer goes down, not really doing too much. So an evening out of the Drakes. Another Earth, Wind, and Fire. We had one yesterday, and we have another one here today. Brilliant. You love to see it.
It's like both teams doing a lot of poking and prodding, trying to find little advantages and translate them into more. And that chunk onto Beryl and the flash being burnt was pretty big. Allowed T1 to get the dragon, but then DPLUS kind of force them away so they can at least get the Heralds as a consolation prize. And the mid tower, thanks to the pressure Showmaker had earlier on, is low enough where Herald with a bit of damage would be able to take it down.
Yeah. It's a big one. Now Faker actually able to put on a lot of pressure here towards his bottom side, but Showmaker is going to answer that. Spidey sense is tingling there as Faker is going to be able to back away.
This gives up some pressure towards the top side. You can see a little concern that someone might turn up, so they do back away. And I think it's just going to have time for Eamon to get stronger and stronger. The 2 items fight coming in soon is big, but 3 is really where he's going to take off. And now looking to Herald the mid tower. This won't kill it, but they should be able to finish it off with some mortars. Yeah.
Beautifully done. Faker is going to try and return the favor, heading down towards his bottom side. No feats of strength, of course, but first turret blood going over to DK going to be an important one there.
I have to TP out.
Yeah, Faker will set up a turret of his own, and will look to take down this wave. And I think maybe he's just dead. He's lost the ability to do the old...
nice.
Okay, gets over the wall. That's very cute. Malignant's on the floor, and they just have to back away.
It was slick from Lucid to dodge on the divide, but Faker is slicker. Manages to outplay that one.
And I think DK were just really scared that the cavalry was coming in. They've ganked Faker too many times to know that if you don't insta-kill him, it could really be a bad time. And she was on top of a ward here as well, so T1 no. And Solarflare going to connect onto Owner. Zenith Blade to try and chain this CC, but the Magnus Storm is good from Carrier. Untargetable is Lucid, but he has to use everything to try and get out, and it does not work. Oh dear, sometimes Zenith played in and it is just not the right call, as now the Otacon going to get taken and T1 really getting out to a fantastic lead off the back of just Faker's phenomenal moves in the bottom lane and an overextension again from DK.
It's a very weird play for DPLUS to go for in that situation. You know, Showmaker's TP wasn't quite available. They're finding angle to get some tower damage here. Oh, she was struggling now.
Yep, Doran in a much better spot as he flashes in and returns the favor. The turret will do a fair bit of damage there, as in fact, yeah, Doran does indeed die. But now we've got another fight breaking out. Beryl, once again, just going to be dead. Solar Flare looking a little celebratory as it hits absolutely nothing. And T1, they get the better end of it, even though it was a 1-for-1 as far as the top laners were concerned. Losing Beryl going to be a big deal because that should spell this dragon going on over to T1 without DK being able to do anything about it.
Starting to feel pretty rough for DPLUS, considering how good this game started as well. Starting to fall behind.
Yeah, I didn't see that he...
All right, Beryl's in again. Lucid is there watching again, and Beryl's dead again.
This is just a never change game, I feel like, for Doran and Beryl.
Yeah.
Where Beryl is just playing like a psycho, racking up the most deaths in the game, and Doran...
to take a turret shot or two. But unfortunately does not happen. Grand Starfall goes down as Shiu is just going to get swept back, and will do a fair bit of damage here to Owner on the outset, as now Gumayushi also in a little bit of trouble. Good cleanse from aiming, but it's not going to be enough. Carrier just being a defender, as Lucid realizing that perhaps he's also overextended, and Beryl's out of the gate once again. Okay, it's time to die once more.
Oh,
as
look at
these
the
health bars, these health bars are so incredibly low. If Beryl can actually get in there, Solar Flare is back up again, and he throws it down. Not going to find anything, but he's holding them in position. The Eclipse wears off. Beryl is certainly killable, but so are T1 as Doran's teleported in, and oh my goodness, this Gwen is so scary. 15 seconds until Shiu's back up again. And it's a 4v5. In goes Carrier, but doesn't really find the angle, and now Showmaker with all that mobility, looking to see what he can get done. Untargetability good there from Lucid, but Gumayushi, he lands the bullets. Faker goes golden, and DK melts like butter in the microwave. T1 just destroy them.
beautiful team fight from T1, baiting out DPLUS, you know, carrier going in, not committing abilities, just trying to force out the aggression from DPLUS and Faker at the end with that Seeker's Arm Guard getting so much value. T1 just playing with the food there.
Yep. T1, like, that recoup was just so incredibly impressive. You get around Doran, who has that full health bar, and DK, they could smell blood in the water. He was doing well. We had Lucid chasing Owner out of his jungle, winning out in that early game situation, and it has meant absolutely nothing. As we can see here, the siege is continuing. The Baron getting to work here. As Equalizer goes down, flash in from Beryl, gets the cleanse out from Gumayushi. His carrier going down lower and lower. The Magnastorm not going to save him there. There's some untargetability from Lucid, will not save him here either, as it's a 1-for-1 in the end. And now Doran is rotating over. The needlework is so scary as once again he's under the turret. Once again he's dead under the turret, as aiming not going to be able to stick around though. So with the health bar advantages, Owner? Okay.
That's a little deep.
Okay, that's a choice. You can't go through that base gate, but that's okay. He's able to wait things out, and the rest of T1 will join. So
that's just aura, you know?
That was a lot of aura, and I think Showmaker could feel it. As the inhibitor going to be the next to fall here, as T1, they're pretty good at this, closing out these games.
Ult, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's ticking down. They see the orb fly across their heads. Let's see what Shiu can actually get done here. Bullet comes on through. Everyone's slowed down apart from Faker, but I don't think she is going to be able to find too much more there. Voidseeker going to connect, but there is no killer instinct. So no more teleports, no more opportunity. 3 items like you were talking about, a thing to watch out for on aiming, but I feel like it's too little and it's probably too late.
Yeah, the problem is, you know, there's 3 items across the board for T1.
I'm going to connect there onto Doran, and then Showmaker has to try and find a way out as, the deadly flourish! That was beautiful from Gumayushi. He has to now walk off the red carpet as Beryl looking for Doran. The Magnastorm's gorgeous! Carrier sacrifices himself for it though, and now they're looking for even more. Over the wall they go. Doran is so low, Guma's so low, but it doesn't matter because they get a clean ace, only losing Carrier for it. And T1 will now look to finish the game.
DPLUS going for an attempt there, you know, they managed to find a kill onto the support, but nothing more. They don't have to follow through with Showmaker dead, and with this much of a deficit, it was a tall order anyway. T1 managing to hold strong after, you know, some troubles, a little bit of troubles in the early game. A very convincing finish out for this game.
Absolutely beautifully done by T1, and it was just the fact that they held it together. Just going to be picked face up into a Braum. Doesn't necessarily feel fantastic, but the ways this composition can flank on T1's side means that the door value will be a bit of a main character moving into this game number 2 as T1 poised for a 2-0 over DK here in our Saturday Showdown. See whether they can do it.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, T1 fans in full voice here in Lowell Park, but you can feel some of the desperation on the DK side at the same time. We'll see whether that is going to pay off as we get into it. Faker on his Talia, pick that he has found him shoot. Back up here towards his top side. Pulverize is going to connect there onto aiming. He's taking a lot of damage. Remember, no flash. Has to cleanse as Carrier throws down the late ignite.
Yeah, Beryl actually out of mana, which is kind of hard to do in a Braum, if I'm being real. Definitely a lot of Winter's Bite spam. Now the Hex Flash coming in.
Yeah, over the wall goes Carrier. And he's out of turret range, finds a double pulverize, Maker Rain comes down as Gumayushi comes on over. The door is set up at first blood, still goes over to the Misfortune. And Beryl, like you say, didn't have a whole lot of the blue stuff, but is now going to have to deal with another wave as Carrier finds yet another pulverize. He will die, and Beryl is fine. And Gumayushi decided that he did not want to kill him.
All in Beryl's plan. He's the carry.
Showmaker is coming down towards his bottom side as well as he realm warps in. He's got a flash.
Kill. He's got cleanse.
Yeah. So Showmaker's still going to flash for it. Throws a Q. Doesn't quite do enough damage. And so is going to trade his flash for a cleanse, which I would say in my little, as aiming died, so isn't able to pick up experience and gold and all that sort of stuff. And so as you can see, 400 gold lead for the MF going to be far more important than Beryl having a 140 ahead of Carrier. As DK thinking about going for a contest, but I don't know about it. As Seismic Shove going wide. Carrier comes in, gets a pulverize onto Lucid, who does get the decoy off. And now Doran just says, nope, you do not have a jungler. They also take down the dragon on the back end as aiming. He is just going to get evicted from this area. No flash, no chance. And Gumayushi even able to walk on over, give him a love tap, take him down. Shu on this top side of the map is at least trying to get something back, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough to make that play worthwhile.
Great moves from Doran to come down there.
And Carrier, I feel like he's everywhere this game. As the Cyclone comes in, can Carrier actually get in there to headbutt Lucid under the turret? And he does, in fact, do so. He flashes away. Realm Warp going to come on through. That gets rid of Beryl. So Beryl lives, and Lucid is very dead.
Feels desperate. You know, great move there from Carrier, hiding in the brush in between.
Right now, Trinity Force in hand. Gumayushi looking to lock down this bottom outer turret. And DK, I don't know whether they'll be able to get in, as Shiu's going to move down. Faker's in position, though. Shiu desperately trying to get towards his turret. He takes a fair bit of damage, but he is pretty tanky. And he gets over to the other side of the wall. Lucid going in. And Shiu clears out the wave. Yeah, now that he's here, Shiu's like, how do I get down? You know, it's like doing that mountain climbing where you climb up and you're like, wait a second, how am I supposed to figure out my way back? Showmaker teleports in, and maybe that is the way he did it. Just asks his teammate to bring a ladder.
Just save him, just keep coupling. Oh.
Okay, Chains of Corruption going down. Remember, Doran doesn't have the ulti as they get the stun down onto Doran, but he's just quite tanky enough. And
you know, even plays that make sense start to fail when you're lacking that extra bit of damage.
Well, speaking of an extra bit of damage, I think Faker certainly has it. As the threaded volley is coming down, we're going to stop watching that one as Lucid comes in, and the hook shot is so good from Doran. Bullet time comes down as well. Beryl almost just dead from that one, but they do manage to get the Camille, but at what cost? The answer is everything.
Easy cleanup for the side of T1. You know, DPLUS go for that initial play onto Doran when he steps forward, but here, you've waited too much time. T1 have reset, they've found a position where they can all collapse in. And it feels like DPLUS just, you're kind of relying on like the Wukong to be engaging, and Lucid is falling further and further behind. Like, look at the health bar of the Wukong compared to Sejuani.
Yeah.
You dive in as this Wukong, you're probably just dead immediately.
Well, Lucid is going to dive in and just flashes away and dies. Wow. Like, why? Still, Showmaker and Shiu, they're going to come on over. All Out is going to be used to separate Ona from this fight, but he just gets back towards this collapse onto Showmaker. And Gumayushi, he comes down yet again. They've set the table for it, and they're now looking to grab these kills. Glacial Prison comes on through once more, but Shiu, pretty tanky, so isn't going to be dying just yet. In the meantime, Faker on that top side of the map is looking to take down this turret. He should be able to do so. Remember, first turret blood still on the cards. No feats of strength taken just yet. It is just one objective away here for T1. As 3,000 gold is still the lead. Faker still up here. Should be able to get this.
This is kind of what I was worried about after game one. Game one, DPLUS had a lead, they had an advantage, managed to push it a little bit, and then they started to flounder and T1 pulled back. This is a game, though, where T1 are the ones who led the charge, who have the advantage, and it just doesn't even look remotely close.
Nope. Oh. Both.
Yeah. I
pick one. Or just, yeah, do both. Just both. I think it's fine. Showmaker and Lucid going to see whether they can kill Faker. And Faker just skates away.
Yep.
Could be something to transition into some sort of Artican play, as I say. Let's
punish Faker in the side lane. That's never failed before. That's always a solid strategy against T1. I'm sure he's all by himself and doesn't have the entirety of the Avengers ready to assemble the second something goes wrong.
The old Avengers or the new ones?
Both of them together.
Oh, all of them?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Rift Herald is just going to be secured here by T1. And Showmaker's standing on a ward. That could be scary. Blast Cone here, it's an Infernal Soul, so we'll have a few extra Blast Cones. Sorry, Valdez. As, yes, T1 just trying to get even more control just to make sure that Faker can very safely take this turret on this top side. As I've seen fights in this area happen before, as Beryl throws out an ulti for fun. Ona swings a flail at him as okay. Aiming going to start this one up. He's already down very low. There's the flash forward. Can they actually kill Guma? Is the question. The answer so far is no. They take down Beryl finally. They overextend far enough to kill the Misfortune, but now the rest of them are likely to go down. Doran just executes aiming underneath the turret, and Shiu trying to escape. That blast cone direction was looking a little dicey, but he gives him the good old thumbs up as he exits. but they didn't need to kill Xiu to feel really good about how this fight goes, as Lucid is just running for the hills. And he will get out, but at what cost?
I'm not sure why Lucid didn't flash. I actually think, like, don't get me wrong, they probably would have lost that fight anyway. But if you're going to go for that play and Guma flashes your Cyclone, you have to flash after. I find that so... Did he not have the flash available at the time? I want to see the replay and check, because...
Yeah, it might have just been coming up or something like that, because I was kind of waiting for that angle as well, as Faker will find anything from this play, as DK going to need a bit of a miracle to try and get back into this one. And it feels like T1, they don't give the opportunities, right? Because they're not overextending into vision that they don't have, as the bullet time is so good. Barrel's door does pretty much nothing, and aiming is just shredded. Down goes the Wukong as well, as there is an all-out, so they kill Gumayushi one more time, as Showmaker also might be able to get a kill onto Carrier. There is that one. Xiu gets himself out of there, but I don't know whether Showmaker wins this 1v1 against Owner, and he does not. Down goes the Cassante as well, as T1 complete the ace with only the sacrifice of their bottom lane, and you can see Xiu just head in hands. Showmaker not really sure of what to do, and this is looking like a bit of a glum DK at this point in time.
Yep, all they're really achieving is just hampering away at Guma's KDA. In terms of the game state, it's just getting worse and worse every time they take
T1 are in.
Yeah.
I've never heard of before, ever.
A lot more damage reduction when you put more points into it. So
where are we going? Carrier just deciding that...
Well, fortunately, it does still charge, even if you goof it like that.
Yeah.
So if they do get it to the tower, it will do the charge again. Why they goofed it like that?
Maybe Carrier was thinking about, like, he used it as a way to face check safely. And there was no one there, so he didn't need to worry about it, but maybe they didn't have that level of information.
Okay, I thought it was... I think maybe it was... The patch note said, if you, like, charge into something and it doesn't, like, hit a tower, it will do the charge anyway. But maybe...
Yeah.
So far away from a tower? I don't know. But,
didn't look great. Still looked like it was a bit of a problematic scenario, as you've got Showmaker moving down towards the bottom side with teleport in hand to get rid of that minion wave. T1 getting to work on the Otacon, and DK have no real right to move up even into their topside jungle. And so this will just be T1's, not a whole lot of answer. As Lucid wanting to trade for an Infernal Drake.
I don't think he gets to make that trade.
Well, I mean, we know that there are a couple towards the top side, but it looks like DK may not have full information. Showmaker coming on over. There's a teleport in from Doran. DK going to have to be swift about this one if they want to lock this down, as they do manage to secure it, get some bounty gold as the Cyclone comes in. Lucid looking for Faker there, but Faker moves out of the way of the Cyclone. Very nicely done. Hextech Ultimatum onto aiming in the back line. What's this Varus ever supposed to do this game? And it is get shoved and then bullet timed to death, as Lucid, that was a bit tricky, gets himself over the wall as Xiu trying to get into that backline, goes all out and pulls Doran over, but he's so incredibly low. Gumayushi is looking for that kill, and he should be able to get it. Still, actually, Xiu doing some work, but Gumayushi's a raid boss. He is massive. That's another ace for T1. And I don't know whether they'll need that many more of those in order to win this game. They want to kill Gumayushi one more time as the seismic shove is so perfectly placed. Showmaker goes golden Xiu into that backline. They might be able to kill Gumayushi, but I guarantee they are all dead after that as Ona takes down the Rise. Doran getting on in there. Man, it's doing so much damage. Xiu dashing around, doing cool stuff, but you know what? He's dead. And there is not a whole lot to be said other than that. T1, even though they don't have their 80 carry, they will be able to pick up a Baron. And that is going to be yet another 1-for-5 trade.
Max, do you remember, I think it was an MSI game, and it was on Faker's birthday, and I think he was playing against a Turkish representative.
Looking at the positives, which, like, the biggest positive is probably Ona and the turnaround that he's had on his Sejuani for this season. Because, of course, his Sejuani was fantastic in previous seasons. Just hasn't been able to find the same level of success with it. And Doran now with 3 items, GA completed. I don't think he's dying again.
Something that was talked about a lot on Space in the pre-show was the fact that, you know, one of the things with the Sejuani is you'll less of the carry yourself, and T1 has been so owner-reliant, so it's a good omen seeing them win with him on the Sejuani.
Xiu is taking a lot of damage as Doran trying to chase him down. Aiming is going to push him away, but it's not going to stop this inhibitor from going down. DK, it is feeling circular in motion. They are Just slowly but surely going down the drain. As Xiu does get his health bar back. Weave as well just to block off Lucid from this fight. Seismic Shove does not connect, but the Hextech Ultimatum goes in. There's another gorgeous bullet time as Gumayushi cuts them down. Kill credit going over to Doran. Sitting on 10 now this game. What a monster. Seismic Shove's gorgeous there from the GOAT. And I think T1 may have just done it far more swiftly than the last time, as Carrier does what he likes to do at the end of games, which is die to the fountain laser, and that's going to mean that it isn't the classic for this particular game, which is 1 for 5 trades. The Nexus still going to go down though, and T1 looking clean with it here today.
Yeah, and obviously